The Ark comes to rest. Long ago, long before the world looked like it does now, there was a great flood. It covered the earth for many days and many nights. The waters were very high, and everything on dry land was covered. But inside a large boat called the Ark, a family and many animals floated safely above the raging waters. This ark was not made from metal or stone, but from wood. Its walls were thick and strong, built carefully by a man named Noah. Noah had listened to God's instructions and built the ark exactly as he was told. It was a very large boat, large enough to hold two of every kind of animal: the birds, the beasts, the creeping things, and Noah's family too. As the floodwaters rose, the ark floated steadily on the waves. Inside, it was quiet and safe. The animals rested, the family took care of them, and the days passed slowly. Outside, the rain kept falling for many weeks, each drop falling gently but with purpose. Finally, after many weeks, the rain stopped. The skies cleared slowly, turning soft shades of blue and pink in the early dawn. But the water still covered the earth. The ark floated on this vast sea that stretched as far as the eye could see. For many more weeks, the water stayed high. Noah sent out birds to see if there was dry land somewhere nearby. First, a raven flew out across the water. The raven flew back and forth as it wished, but it seemed to find no place to rest. After some days, Noah sent out a dove. The dove searched for dry land, but it returned to the ark because the waters were still high. Then, after waiting a whole week, Noah sent the dove out once more. This time the dove came back with a small, fresh leaf in its beak. This was a gentle sign. It meant that trees were growing again, and the water was beginning to go down. Noah waited patiently. The world outside the ark was slowly changing. The floodwaters were drying. Hills and mountains started to appear through the water's surface. After many months, one full year after the flood began, God told Noah it was time for the ark to come to rest on the earth. The ark's massive hull touched the top of a mountain called Ararat. The mountain was still surrounded by water, but Noah knew this was a special moment. The great boat had found its resting place after floating through the flood. Slowly, the waters outside the ark began to drop. As the days passed, more and more land appeared. The mountains grew taller, the valleys became clearer, and the rivers started to flow again. Inside the ark, Noah's family waited quietly, listening to the soft sounds of water against the wood. Each day they hoped for the chance to step out and see the new world that awaited them. Noah's sons looked carefully over the edge of the ark. They could see the tops of trees and hills where the flood had once covered everything. The air outside was fresh and cool. It had been so long since they had felt the wind on their faces. One day Noah sent the dove out once again to see if the earth was dry. This time the dove did not return to the ark. It found a new home in the world below. This was a quiet and peaceful moment. It meant the earth was ready for life to begin once more. Noah gently opened the door of the ark. A soft breeze came in, carrying the scent of rain and new grass. When it was safe, Noah and his family stepped out onto dry land. The animals, too, were led carefully off the ark. The lions, the deer, the birds, and the little creatures all walked down to explore the fresh earth. The sunlight felt warm on their faces. The sky stretched wide above them, clear and calm. The world was beginning again, slowly and gently, after the long time of rain and flood. Around them, the earth seemed quiet. The mountains, still damp from the waters, stood tall, and the rivers flowed softly through the valleys. Trees slowly lifted their branches toward the sky, and new flowers began to bloom in the gentle sunshine. Noah and his family looked out across this renewed world. There was much to see and much to learn. The world was quiet but full of promise beneath the soft light of a fresh morning. For now, all was calm. The ark, the great wooden home that had carried life through the flood, rested peacefully on the mountain. It was a place of safety, a strong shelter that had stood through the storm. And the earth, slowly waking up again, whispered softly with the gentle sounds of water, wind, and new life. The story of the ark coming to rest was only just beginning to unfold in this peaceful moment, where the past met the future in the calm and quiet presence of a new day. The sun warmed their faces as Noah and his family stood upon the solid ground at last. The soft earth beneath their feet was faintly damp, a tender promise of new life to come. Around them, the animals stirred from their long confinement, cautiously stepping forward into the fresh air. Their scents and sounds mingled, a quiet harmony, a natural symphony almost forgotten, during the months confined within the ark's walls. With careful, gentle movements, the animal's stretched limbs, stiffened by the journey, sniffed the air made fragrant by blooming herbs and clean rain. The skies above were a vast canvas of blues, brushed here and there with wisps of cloud. The sun arched high, a steady guardian of this new beginning. Noah's family, his wife, his sons, and their wives, gathered close, each feeling a profound gratitude swelling quietly in their hearts. For so long, they had known uncertainty, suspended like the ark itself between deluge and deliverance. Now, the earth itself seemed a soft embrace, welcoming them home. Their eyes roamed the horizon, where green unfurled across gentle hills, trees stood tall against the refreshing breeze, and streams began to carve their way through the waking valleys. This was a world reshaped, scoured clean and washed anew. It whispered to them of hope, patience, and endurance. Noah breathed deeply. The air was pure, kissed by the freshness of untouched wilderness. Sounds of distant waterfalls and the bubbling of a nearby brook wove seamlessly with the gentle calls of newly freed creatures. It was a quiet anthem of survival. Each step outside the ark was a message, a testament to steadfast faith and unseen grace. They moved slowly, reverently, as if honoring each moment of this newfound life. The animals followed with a kind of prudent freedom, tails wagging, wings fluttering, hooves and paws pressing softly upon the reborn earth. Noah gently lifted a small lamb, its wool soft and warm. The lamb nuzzled his hand, a tiny bridge between past hardship and future promise. Nearby, a pair of doves took flight, their wings catching the light as they soared skyward, symbols of peace released after the storm. As the family settled into their new routine, they began to explore. With careful steps, they wandered through the surrounding meadow, noticing how resilient life had already begun to reclaim the land. Tender shoots of green sprouted amidst the damp soil, while birds flitted among budding trees, their songs bright and clear. Noah's sons worked alongside him to understand the lay of the land, where water flowed, where food might be gathered. Their hands touched the earth with wonder and respect, mindful of the balance required to steward this fresh chapter. They knew the responsibility borne quietly in the spaces between the storms. The animals, sensing safety as much as the family did, found new rhythms too, grazing peacefully, resting in shaded groves, drinking from clear springs, each action a mark of healing, a reclaiming of the earth's gifts. Even wild creatures watched cautiously from the edges, curious but respectful. Days passed in rhythms unhurried but purposeful. The family ate simply, harvested fruits, tender shoots from the soil, fresh water from the streams. Every bite renewed their strength. Every moment deepened their connection to this fertile ground. Noah knelt near a young sapling, its tender leaves quivering softly in a gentle breeze. He traced the contours of its stem, marveling at the quiet persistence of life. From ruin and flood, the smallest green shoots could yield forests again. He whispered thanks, a prayer carried as softly as the whispering leaves. As evening drew near, the sky took on a broader palette of oranges, pinks, and purples. The sun dipped slowly, casting long shadows across the hills. The world seemed to hold its breath, suspended between day and night, history and hope. Gathered around a small fire, Noah's family shared memories of the long days within the ark, speaking softly of lessons learned and dreams yet unfulfilled. The animals lay nearby, their gentle breathing a calm lullaby beneath the stars. The fire's warm glow illuminated faces marked by weariness, but touched by resilience. Each spark rising into the night air seemed a tiny herald of promise, proof that from destruction could come restoration, and from waiting, renewal. Noah felt a deep peace settle over him, a quiet reassurance born not just of survival, but of purpose fulfilled. The ark, once a refuge adrift on endless waters, was now a memory held gently behind them, a vessel that had carried them through darkness into light. Throughout the night the rain no longer fell. Instead, the sky above was vast and clear, stars shimmering with serene certainty. In the distance, a soft chorus of nocturnal life began, crickets chirping, owls calling, and the natural world spoke its age-old song of continuity. Morning dawned bright and fresh, and with it came the first sigh of the wind, playful and warm. Day after day the land recovered. Rivers ran clear, meadows blossomed with wildflowers, and the animals thrived in their expanding freedom. Noah watched the horizon with a steady heart, knowing their journey was far from over, but confident in the steps ahead. There was much to rebuild, much to nurture, yet the foundation laid by faith and endurance was unshakable. And so life moved forward, steady, calm, hopeful, underneath the endless sky. The ark resting high upon Mount Ararat became both a symbol and a sanctuary, a reminder that even after the longest storms, peace could bloom, and the earth itself could heal. In the quiet days that followed, the rhythm of the earth unfolded with gentle certainty. Noah's family moved slowly, mindfully, as if learning to breathe without the weight of the flood still pressing upon them. They watched the animals adapt, curious and cautious, to this new world filled with blossoms, singing birds, and fresh air untouched by the heaviness of storm and water. The children ran barefoot through fields where wildflowers reached for the sun, a carpet of color beneath their steps. Each flower, each blade of grass, seemed a small miracle, a quiet promise whispered by the earth. Noah stooped often, cupping handfuls of soil, sending silent gratitude into the richness beneath their feet. One afternoon, as the sun hung warm and golden over the rolling hills, Noah sat beneath the humble shelter fashioned from branches and cloth. He traced the soft fur of a small fox curled at his side, its amber eyes reflecting the slow dance of light through new leaves. Here, in this delicate sanctuary, the past felt both near and far, a remembered tide of loss, now giving way to hope. Even the rivers seemed to murmur a lullaby, the water tracing ancient paths anew, gentle against smooth stones and bowed reeds. The family gathered food from the earth's generous hands, berries bursting with sweetness, shoots tender to the bite, and cool water drawn from a crystal pool shaded by willows. Each meal was simple, shared with reverence, a communion with the land that gave life again and again. The lamb, now growing in strength and spirit, followed closely, its small hooves barely disturbing the dew-soaked grass. It moved with a quiet assurance, a living thread stitching past sorrows to present grace. Noah saw in its eyes a reflection of the promise spoken quietly when the rain ceased, a promise of new beginnings and steadfast faith. One evening, as dusk began to brush the sky with soft hues of purple and rose, shadows lengthened, and the air grew still. The family gathered once more by the fire. Flames flickered, casting gentle light over faces marked by both wariness and wonder. Old memories braided with dreams of the days to come. The animals rested nearby, a living chorus of soft breaths and occasional quiet rustle. Noah's son, Shem, had taken to charting the stars each night. With careful hands and a heart attentive to the heavens, he traced patterns familiar from their journey, seeing in the constellations a map of guidance. "The skies watch over us," he said once, voice low and sure. "They mark the way forward, as they always have." The family listened, comforted by the cosmic dance overhead, their small place illuminated within the vastness. Daylight revealed the ongoing work of creation reborn. Trees stood tall and proud, their leaves a vibrant green that whispered with every breeze. Birds sang melodies of homecoming, and streams gleamed like threads of silver weaving through the tapestry of earth. Noah's wife moved softly through the garden, planting seeds with hands patient and sure, tending to each shoot with the gentlest care. There was a rhythm now, a harmony born not from haste, but from stillness and nurture. The land no longer seemed an adversary, but a beloved companion, patient, forgiving, resilient. When the lamb bleated softly, the family answered with quiet words and gentle touch, a communion of souls learning once again the language of grace. Noah found moments to walk alone along a winding path, beneath canopies heavy with leaves newly born. His thoughts drifted like clouds, reflections folded between memory and hope. He stopped by a spring, watching as water spilled clear and bright into a bowl cradled by moss. Kneeling, he drank deeply, tasting the freshness of a world reborn. Night after night, the skies held their silent sermons. Stars flickered like distant campfires, reminders of the vast mystery and enduring light. The family's prayers rose quietly from the stillness, offerings of thanks and trust woven between each whispered word. In the days that followed, the animals began to settle into the rhythms of the land with a growing sense of peace. The fox ventured further, curious and agile. The lamb found companionship in a gentle doe that grazed nearby, their movements a soft dance of belonging. The birds filled the air with shared songs, their melodies a testament to resilience and new beginnings. Noah's sons continued their careful bookkeeping of the land's gifts, where fruit hung heavy, where fresh water passed quietly beneath roots, where the grasses caught the morning light just so. Each detail was a promise to preserve, a sacred trust to honor the fragile balance of life renewed. The ark itself, worn and weathered, stood as a silent guardian high upon Mount Ararat. Its timbers held echoes of the storm, a memory paused, not forgotten. Children climbed briefly to its decks, their laughter a light breeze in the stillness, before slipping back below to share a quiet evening meal. Time seemed to slow in these moments, as if the earth herself paused to breathe along with those who remained. Seeds sprouted, leaves unfurled, rivers sang on. One afternoon, as light filtered softly through the canopy, Noah sat beside the young sapling he had planted weeks before. Its slender trunk swayed gently in a kindly breeze. He listened to the whisper of leaves, a quiet hymn of life continuing. Fingers brushing the rough bark, he felt a deep stirring of hope, not a hope built on certainty, but on faith and the enduring courage of beginnings. The family gathered at the edge of a wide field, where grasses waved in the sunlight like a sea of green. Together, they began to build simple tools, fashioned from stones and wood. These were gifts not only of survival, but of creativity, the bridge between need and possibility. Noah's wife smiled as she cradled a basket heavy with ripe fruit, the scent sweet in the air. Beside her, the children chased each other, their voices rising in bright song. The world, it seemed, was unfolding its first pages anew. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in strokes of amber and indigo, the fire was rekindled. A family came together again, shadows mingling with the warmth of flame. Quiet moments stretched like soft silk, woven with laughter, stories, and the gentle breathing of animals settled close. Noah gazed upward, his heart steady in the evening calm. The stars had shifted only slightly since last night, but their light was constant, steady as the earth beneath, as the promise held in the heart of a lamb, as the ark resting high in quiet dignity. The days ahead were a quiet landscape of discovery and renewal. Every step forward, no matter how small, was a testament to the beautiful persistence of life. The flood had taken much, but it had birthed something softer, a world ripe with hope, tender with care, held gently in the hands of all who dwelt within it. In the cool dawn light, birds took wing again, soaring toward horizons brushed with the blush of morning. And in that unfolding light, the family walked together, quiet guardians, humble stewards of the earth's gentle rebirth. The ark would stand long after them, a symbol etched into the land, a reminder of what had been endured and what may yet flourish. Yet it was not the wood or nails that would carry the story forward. It was the breath of life itself, whispered softly in every leaf's rustle, every creek's murmur, and every heart beating steady beneath the vast open sky. And so, in the peace that followed the storm, wrapped in the gentle arms of a world made new, they learned once more the sacred art of beginning, step by hopeful step, hand in hand with the animals and the earth, beneath the endless canopy of stars. The morning air held a softness, wrapped in the tender glow of dawn. Light crept slowly across the landscape, brushing the hills and valleys with warmth that promised new life. The family moved quietly, their footsteps muffled by dew-kissed grass, as if honoring the stillness that cradled the earth. Noah's gaze lingered on the horizon, where the sky met the earth in a gentle embrace. The ark loomed behind them, its weathered timbers etched with the stories of the flood's fury. Its massive frame stood as a monument to endurance, yet the true miracle pulsed in the hearts of those who now stepped firmly back onto the soil. A soft breeze carried the scent of damp earth and budding leaves. Everywhere life was stirring, subtle yet undeniable. A rabbit darted through the underbrush, pausing briefly to peer with curious eyes. Overhead, a chorus of birds began their morning song, notes weaving through the branches with innocent clarity. The family breathed deeply. Their prayers the night before had been quiet, their faith unwavering. And now, as they gathered in the gentle light, hope felt less like a fragile dream and more like a steady root beneath their feet. Shem took a small knife, carved with care, and knelt beside a patch of new shoots. Gently he trimmed away the dry leaves, clearing space for the green to thrive. "The land is ready to give its gifts," he said softly, voice low and steady as stone. Ham joined him, balancing a basket filled with crisp fruit. His eyes rested on the horizon where far-off mountains faded into mist. Each day is a quiet blessing, Ham observed. No longer must we battle the storm, but work with the calm. Japhet smiled, watching the younger children giggle as they darted beneath branches heavy with the season's first berries. Their laughter rang out like a gentle bell, weaving through the hush of dawn. Joy, he thought, was a balm to weariness, its presence as vital as water and air. Noah stepped forward, leaning on a sturdy staff carved long ago, the grain smooth beneath his weathered fingers. His heart swelled with simple gratitude and profound resolve. The ark had carried them through darkness, but this renewed earth was to be their true home. They gathered near a small spring, its clear waters bubbling up from the earth like whispered blessings. The children knelt to drink, their hands cupped to catch the pure flow. Nearby, the animals lingered without fear, deer, fox, and birds, all sharing the quiet peace as if the flood had washed away not just the old world, but the walls between them. Noah's voice broke the silence, gentle and full of reverence. Let us walk together as keepers of this land. Each pebble, each leaf, each breath belongs to the story we now carry. They moved slowly, footprints soft on the loamy soil, following the spring as it curved through the valley, winding past wildflowers and ancient stones. The family spoke little, their thoughts folded inward, attentive to the small sounds, the rustle of wings, the murmur of water, the pulse of life. As the sun rose higher, golden light spilled across fields where seeds had been scattered in hope. Tiny shoots poked tentatively above the earth's surface, fragile but determined. Noah watched their fragile green tips catch the light, a sign of steadfast promise. Shem knelt beside a cluster of these shoots and whispered a quiet prayer. Ham gathered stones to form a small enclosure, protecting the young plants from wandering creatures. Japhet gathered dry grass, surrounding the tiny garden with a ring of soft shielding. They crafted a symbol, a sacred space where life's persistence was honored and nurtured. Each stone placed with intention, each touch a testament to stewardship and care. The day deepened with gentle warmth. Shadows shifted slowly beneath the canopy of trees. The family settled by the garden, breaking bread in the cool shade. Conversation was soft, flowing like the gentle stream nearby. Stories of the flood's trials mingled with plans for the future, blending pain and hope in a delicate balance. Noah spoke of wisdom found in endurance, of courage birthed from patience. The flood has passed, but its lessons remain, he said. We are called not only to survive, but to live with kindness and reverence. His words hung in the air, tender yet strong. Around him, the family felt their own resolve deepen, rooted in love and faith. They knew they were beginning not from emptiness, but from the rich soil of experience, watered by tears and prayers. The afternoon light softened, wrapping the valley in amber hues. The children returned to play, chasing shadows beneath the trees, their laughter carefree once more. The animals wandered near, sharing this harmony, deer grazing, rabbits darting, birds nestling in the branches. Noah watched them all, the family, the creatures, the land itself, as if seeing a sacred painting come to life. The ark behind him stood still, a timeless sentinel, while before him stretched the quiet miracle of renewal. As evening approached, the family gathered again beneath the open sky. The first stars began to gleam, faint jewels set against a velvet backdrop. Fires flickered to life, casting golden light on faces uplifted in gratitude. Songs rose, soft and steady, weaving threads of memory and hope. The flames danced, casting shadows that told stories only the heart could fully understand. The land beneath them breathed a gentle rhythm, the pulse of a world reborn. Noah held the sapling he had tended close, its tender leaves catching firelight. He whispered a promise not just to this tree, but to every living thing that shared their new beginning. "We will care for you with our hearts," he said, voice full of quiet strength, "for your growth is our own." Night deepened, folding the family into its peaceful embrace. The ark rested silently, its mission fulfilled, its purpose now a quiet legend, carried in the souls of those who walked this fresh earth. And beneath that endless sky, where stars watched like silent sentinels, the family slept, cradled by hope, guided by faith, and forever bound to the sacred art of beginning anew. Dawn unfurled softly across the sky, pale hues spreading slowly over the valley. The air held a crisp, fresh stillness that seemed to breathe gently into their souls. Early light washed the earth, dappling the grass and glistening on the tender shoots growing within the sacred garden. The soft murmur of the spring accompanied the waking world, as if whispering a lullaby to all living things. Shem rose quietly, stepping towards the gentle flowing waters with a careful reverence. His hands reached down, touching the cool surface, sending ripples that caught the morning light. He bowed his head once more, offering thanks, not for survival alone, but for the gift of renewal. Around him the garden stirred, leaves unfurled, petals stretched, and tiny roots settled deeper into the earth's embrace. Ham and Japhet moved among the young plants, their gestures careful and sure. They adjusted the protective enclosures, making certain the fragile life was guarded from wind and wandering creatures. Their hands worked the soil in soft patterns, imprinting care and intention into every furrow. The rhythm of their labor was quiet, meditative, in tune with the pulse of the emerging day. Noah watched with a tender smile, the lines of his face softened by hope. There was no hurry here, only patience, an understanding that growth would come in its own time, that the land would heal with steady kindness. Around them, animals drifted closer again. A doe tipped her head, nostrils flaring with gentle curiosity. Nearby, a fawn nibbled shyly on a blade of grass, its steps light as a whispered prayer. Later, the family gathered beneath the wide limbs of a great tree, its roots anchoring deeply into the earth, its branches reaching toward the heavens. Noah's voice spoke in low tones, steady and warm, weaving words like threads of silver through the quiet. He reminded them how every living thing carried a spark of the divine, a sacred trust to nurture and protect. "You see this garden," he said softly. "It is not just plants growing here. It is a covenant, the promise that life goes on. With every leaf, every breeze, every creature that walks or flies, we are bound to care, to tend, to love." The children listened, their eyes bright with wonder. They stretched their fingers toward the leaves as if to touch the mystery itself. Around them, birds sang clear notes, weaving their melodies into the words. A gentle wind stirred the branches, carrying the scent of earth and rain and possibility. Afterward, noon folded them into quiet moments of sharing and simple meals. Fresh fruit from the remaining stores, hearty bread made from newly ground grain, the water from the spring sparkling in their cups. They spoke in mellow tones, voices mingling with the rustle of leaves and distant calls of wild creatures. Memories of the flood were shadows softened now, held tenderly but not dwelled upon. Their hearts leaned instead toward the days ahead, seeds of hope planted deep within. Noah's gaze swept over his family, the women, the men, the children, the animals all mingling in this new paradise. Each one was a thread in the intricate weave of life, interlaced with stories yet to be told. He remembered the heaviness of the past, the sorrow cradled in the long nights, and yet here in the light, a quiet strength rose like the sun. Hardship, he said, teaches us what we value most. In kindness we find courage, in patience we find resilience, and in reverence, this sacred respect for all life, we find the true path forward. The afternoon wore on gently. Children wove through the garden, laughter spilling lightly. Their small feet pressed soft impressions into the earth, their breaths mingling with the songs of bees and dragonflies. The animals grazed and rested nearby, their presence warm and steady, a reminder that the world was larger than any one being, yet welcoming to all. As twilight neared, a hushed calm settled over the valley. The golden glows softened to amber, and the sky blossomed into quiet purples and deepening blues. The family gathered again around a smoldering fire, the flames casting flickering light on faces filled with reflection and peace. The songs they sang were gentle echoes of memory and hope, melodies carried from times before and dreams of times to come. Voices rose in harmony, weaving warmth through the cool evening air. The flames danced beneath a sky scattered with stars, each a beacon of light, tiny fires that had survived the vast darkness. Noah's hands rested on a delicate sapling planted near the fire, its young leaves trembling softly in the night's breath. His promise echoed in the quiet spaces between song, a solemn vow to tend this life, to nurture what had begun here in hope. This tender young tree stood as a living symbol of their journey, a reminder that even after great floods, even after darkness, life would rise again. The ark remained still and strong, a silent guardian watching over them. It was a monument not of fear or loss, but of faith and new beginnings. Within its silence the family found rest, a softness that spread through their bones, weaving calm through the tapestry of their hearts. Night deepened, wrapped around the valley like a gentle cloak. The world settled into breath and balance, the pulse of life beating quietly beneath the stars. As the last embers faded and eyes closed, a sense of peace grew, a quiet certainty that the future, fragile and bright, was held gently in their hands. And so, beneath skies vast and eternal, the earth whispered its ancient song, and the family dreamed of green fields and clear waters, of laughter and light to come. The ark stood watch, a timeless sentinel in the heart of a world reborn. The morning arrived gently, brushed in soft hues of pink and gold. The garden stirred as the first light touched the leaves and petals, awakening a silent song deep within the earth. Dew sparkled like tiny stars caught on blades of grass, and the fragrance of damp soil mingled with the subtle sweetness of wildflowers. Noah rose slowly, his heart full of gratitude. The night had been peaceful, filled with dreams that whispered of new beginnings. He stepped outside the ark's sturdy doorway and let the cool breeze embrace him. Around him his family stirred, their faces illuminated by the dawn's tranquility. There was a quietness in their movements, a reverence for the gift of a new day. Noah's gaze followed the gentle unfolding of life all around, the birds already busy in the treetops, the small creatures rustling softly through the underbrush. Together the family gathered beside the sapling. It had grown just a little since the night before, a small but steadfast reminder of hope planted by their own hands. Noah knelt and brushed his fingers through the rich earth, feeling its pulse beneath his touch. He spoke softly. This tree reminds us that life always finds a way. Our care, our love, it is part of the soil, the sun, the rain. His children listened, their eyes wide and shining, absorbing the lessons as though they were water, reaching their roots deep. The ark stood nearby, a silent guardian, its wood weathered yet unbroken, a testament to both trial and grace. It was no longer merely a vessel, but a symbol woven into the fabric of this emerging world. Throughout the day, they moved with a gentle rhythm, tending to the garden, gathering herbs and helping the animals. Each task was an act of prayer, a mindful service to the fragile balance they now cherished. Noah watched the way laughter mingled with the birdsong, how even the animals seemed to understand the kindness bestowed upon them. The youngest child found a smooth stone and held it up. "What stories do you carry, little one?" Noah asked with a smile. They imagined the journey stones might take, carried by rivers, resting under stars. The children learned how even the simplest things held memories, of wind and rain, of strength and endurance. As midday light poured through the branches, Noah led his family to the stream that wound gently through the valley. The water was clear and cold, shimmering over smooth stones beneath the surface. They cupped their hands and drank deeply, the freshness filling them with renewed energy. Nearby, a small family of deer came cautiously to drink, their eyes reflecting trust. The connection between all living beings felt palpable, a living thread weaving their fates together. The afternoon moved with the steady pulse of nature's breath. Noah sat quietly, sketching the shapes of animals and plants, his fingers tracing lines of life in the dirt. His wife gathered wildflowers in soft baskets, the children collecting nuts and berries. They worked together, sharing stories beneath the dappled light, telling tales of the flood and of the promise carried beyond it. As the sun began its gentle descent, cooling the air, Noah returned to the sapling. He watered it tenderly, whispering words of encouragement. The sky softened into hues of lavender and rose. The evening birds began to call their good nights, filling the air with soft melodies. Nearby, the ark rested quietly, its vast form bathed in golden light, a monument to resilience and faith. Dinner was a simple affair, fresh fruits, herbs, and baked grain flatbreads. The family sat together, the firelight flickering warmly in their eyes. They shared memories not just of hardship, but of small moments of grace, the kindness of a stranger's smile, the patience it took to rebuild, the quiet strength found in the land beneath their feet. Noah's voice was calm and steady as he spoke. "We have learned much. that life is sacred, that every breath is a gift. We carry the care of this world not just in our hands, but deep inside our hearts. The flood has passed, but it has left us a clearer path to nurture, to protect, to grow. The children, their faces glowing in the fire's warm embrace, hummed softly, a lullaby carried from heart to heart. The animals close by seemed to rest alongside them. Wolves curled near the starlit shadows, rabbits nestled in the underbrush, and owls watched quietly from high branches. Night stretched on, tender and deep. Noah's family drifted into rest, their dreams weaving quietly with the world's pulse. The wind rustled the leaves in gentle rhythm, and the stars shimmered like distant promises. The ark stood patiently, its presence a bridge from what had been to all that was yet to come. Before sleep fully claimed him, Noah reflected on the fragile beauty wrapping the valley. Not just the land, but the spirit that had survived. Something new, stronger, gentler, was taking root in their souls. They were the keepers now, entrusted with the breath of creation. He thought of the sapling, small yet fierce in its resolve to rise. Tomorrow, he would teach the children how to care for it, how to listen when the earth whispered. The journey ahead was long, but it was a path shimmering with light. And under that vast, watchful sky, with the ark standing sentinel behind them, the family rested, racked in the quiet certainty of dawn yet to come. The world was ready to bloom again. Dawn arrived soft and slow, its light brushing tenderly over the hills and valleys. Dew clings delicately to the tips of leaves, shimmering like tiny jewels in the quiet morning. Noah stirs gently, waking to the gentle chorus of birdsong weaving through the stillness. Around him, his family begins to rise, the peaceful rhythm of their days unfolding gradually, like a careful breath. Noah steps out from the shelter of the ark, feeling the cool earth beneath his feet. The soil is rich and loose, smelling of rain and fresh beginnings. He bends to touch the ground, sensing the life pulsing just beneath the surface. The sapling he had nurtured last evening stands resilient, its slender branches tipped with new shoots, reaching slowly upward toward the sky. His wife appears beside him, her eyes reflecting the quiet wonder of this moment. Together they watch as their children spread toward the garden and the woods beyond, each moving with a delicate sense of purpose. The youngest child cradles the smooth stone found the day before, holding it with reverence as if it contains the stories of the world. Noah's hands are steady and sure as he gathers tools, small, simple pieces crafted from wood and stone. He envisions teaching the children more about the earth's language, how to read the soil's softness, the whisper of wind through leaves, the patterns of animal tracks left overnight. There is an unspoken promise in these lessons, a sacred task woven through the fabric of their days, to listen deeply, to honor the fragile balance of life. Nearby, the animals settle into their day as well. A fawn lifts its head from the grass, watching with quiet curiosity before wandering farther into the trees. Birds flit from branch to branch, their wings catching the sunlight in ripples of gold. Every creature moves with a certainty born from trust in the land, in the rhythms of the seasons, in the hands that care for them. Noah's wife calls the children close, and they form a circle beneath the sturdy boughs of an old tree. She speaks softly, her voice a gentle thread, weaving stories of the past and hope for what lies ahead. The children listen with shining eyes, absorbing not just words, but the spirit of resilience that pulses through each sentence. They imagine the floodwaters parting, the aching loneliness yielding to the promise of growth and renewal. The youngest child places the smooth stone on the ground within their circle. It gleams quietly, a small talisman of the world's enduring memory. Noah reflects on this, how even the smallest, simplest things hold a connection to all that came before, anchoring them in a story wider and deeper than any single day. As the sun climbs higher, they work side by side. Some tend the sapling, others gather wildflowers and fresh water. Laughter bubbles, light and clear, mingling with the murmur of the breeze. In these moments, the weight of what was can seem distant, softened by the tangible joy of shared care. Noah pauses to watch his children, their faces alive with wonder and the subtle magic of discovery. Each of them carries seeds, not only of plants but of wisdom and kindness, that will grow with time, spreading quietly across this new land. The ark resting sturdily at their backs is both a shelter and a reminder, that life endures through the cycles of hardship and grace. He thinks of the lessons yet to come, the stories not yet told, and the songs waiting to be sung at nightfall. The challenge of stewardship is vast, but so too is the strength found in gentle hands and patient hearts. Evening descends with a soft hush, the colors of the sky deepening to amber and violet. The family gathers once more by the fire, sharing food that sings of earth and sun. The warmth embraces them, knitting close the threads of their collective journey. The stars begin to spark overhead. Noah leads a blessing, words simple and clear, honoring the land, the creatures, and the enduring spirit of hope. Their voices blend softly, a quiet hymn rising into the night, a bridge between all that has been and all that will be. His youngest child, tired now, clutches their smooth stone, eyes heavy with sleep but full of dreams. Noah watches over them, heart full, sensing the world at a delicate turning, poised on the edge of bloom. The ark stands silent beneath the vast sky, a symbol of safe passage and patient waiting. And somewhere in the stillness, the earth breathes deeply once more, welcoming the touch of attentive hands, the quiet promise of new beginnings. The dawn stirred with a soft breath, cool and still as light seeped slowly over the hills. The world seemed hushed, suspended in a quiet moment between night and day. In the shelter of the ark, the family awoke with gentle movements, as if reluctant to break the spell of calm that held the land. Noah rose first, stepping outside to greet the morning. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and new leaves. His eyes traced the horizon, where tender greens weaved together, stitching the fabric of their new home with delicate care. The sapling they had nurtured stood proud in the soft soil, its small limbs unfurling like a whispered promise. He felt a deep stillness settle within him, a trust in the grace of this fresh beginning. Behind him, the children stirred, their soft voices threading through the cool air as they stirred within the ark's shelter. Noah's wife moved quietly, tending the small hearth where coals still glowed faintly. She prepared a simple meal, warmth rising from the fire like a quiet hymn of continuity. Outside, the animals paused too, their eyes bright pools of curiosity and calm. A family of birds flitted from branch to branch, their songs threading through the morning light. The soft rustle of leaves brushed against the stones, which still gleamed smooth and reassuring, an unspoken link to all that had been and all that could be. Noah called gently to the children, who gathered soon after, their faces fresh with sleep and wonder. Together they stepped into the soft, cleansing light, hands reaching toward the warmth spreading across the land. Today the smallest child held tight to the smooth stone once more, fingers tracing its cool, hard surface. It was more than just a keepsake. It was a reminder that even in the hardest times, something solid and enduring remained. Noah gathered his tools, each one simple but made with care. The wooden axe, sharpened and steady, the stone knife, smooth and cool, the small wooden bowl carved to hold water and seeds. The children watched as their father knelt by the earth. With patient hands, he patted the soil around the sapling, inviting it to grow strong. The children joined him, their small hands following his movements. Together they pressed seeds into the soft earth, a silent pact between their hands and the land. Noah spoke softly as he worked. "These seeds hold life," he said, "and so do you. Each day you will learn how to listen to the earth. You will learn how to care for it, and it will care for you in return." The youngest child, eyes wide and shining, asked, "Will the stone help the sapling grow?" Noah smiled, a tender warmth in his glance. "Not the stone, but the care you give. The stone reminds us to hold on, but the earth only blossoms because we tend it with love." A breeze teased the young leaves above, whispering through the branches like a lullaby. The family breathed together, the rhythm of life pulsing softly beneath their skin. Later, as the sun climbed higher, Noah led the children to a nearby stream, its waters pure and singing against curved stones. They knelt by the bank, watching fish flicker beneath the surface and delicate reeds sway with a gentle grace. Noah handed each child a wooden bowl filled with water and taught them how to wash their hands and faces in the cool flow. "This water carries stories," he said. "It has traveled through mountains and valleys, through rain and sky to reach us here." The children listened with quiet reverence, their hands cupping the life-giving liquid, watching it spill softly back into the stream. Nearby, a pair of deer emerged cautiously from the trees, their eyes reflecting the sunlight like melted amber. The youngest child held out a small handful of wild berries, offering what the earth had given. The deer stepped closer, as if sensing the kindness within the child's gesture. A gentle trust bloomed beneath the gaze of the wild creatures, nature and humankind walking side by side in fragile harmony. As noon settled, the family returned to the Ark's small clearing. They shared bread made from ground grains, simple and nourishing. Laughter mingled with the rustling breeze as the children recounted dreams and stories woven under their mother's careful guidance the night before. Noah's wife brushed hair from a small face, her eyes soft pools of gratitude and hope. "We carry many gifts," she said quietly. "Stories, memories, and the courage to begin anew. This land is our home now, and together we will grow." Afternoon shadows stretched long, and the family resumed their work. They tended to the garden beds, coaxing shoots from the soil, clearing stones, and carefully gathering herbs with fragrant leaves. The youngest child wandered briefly to where the sapling's roots dug deep, sitting quietly beside it. A gentle warmth settled around the child as fingers brushed the rough bark, connecting past and future in a tender embrace. Noah watched from a distance, heart buoyed by the quiet assurance blooming there. He knelt beside his child, whispering, "You are the beginning of all that will come." As dusk stirred the colors of the sky, the family returned once more to the circle of fire. The flames danced softly, casting flickering light onto faces flushed with the day's labor and laughter. Noah took the smooth stone from the youngest child and held it before the firelight. "This stone has traveled far," he said, bearing witness to both storm and calm. "It reminds us that what is strong in us lies not just in survival, but in the care we give each other." The youngest child's eyes shone with quiet understanding, fingers curling around the stone once more. Noah's wife began to sing, a soft, flowing melody, carrying the hopes of many seasons, gentle as the wind. The children joined, their voices weaving together like reeds in a gentle stream, and the animals listened, still as the earth itself. Stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, a quiet canopy of light that stretched toward the endless future. Noah closed his eyes and lifted his voice in a final blessing, a prayer not just for safety, but for peace, for kindness, and for growth. May this land be a place where life blooms again, where hope roots deep, and kindness flows free. Here may we all find strength in each other, and in the earth beneath our feet. The family settled for the night beneath blankets of woven cloth, wrapped in the gentle arms of the Ark. The youngest child pressed the stone to their heart, slipping slowly into dreams filled with endless green fields, singing streams, and sunlight spilling softly over new beginnings. Outside, the sapling swayed gently in the night breeze, as steady and sure as the family's love. The Ark had come to rest, and with it a new chapter began, not one marked by loss or fear, but by quiet endurance, tender growth, and the whisper of endless tomorrows. All was calm, and the earth breathed softly beneath the stars, promising the dawn. Night deepened over the quiet land, the fire's last embers softened to a gentle glow, casting flickering shadows on worn wood and soft earth. The family's breaths rose and fell in peaceful rhythms, beneath the vast velvety sky flecked with distant stars. Crickets hummed their steady lullaby. The world exhaled. Noah's wide gaze traced the constellations, their familiar forms anchoring him to something timeless. Each star, a spark of light through darkness, like hope itself. The smooth stone, still nestled in the youngest child's small hand, felt cool but alive with quiet strength. There in the tender grasp lay the future, redrawn gently for all of them. Soft footsteps stirred nearby. Noah's wife knelt beside the youngest, brushing a stray lock behind a damp forehead. "You carry a piece of us all," she whispered. "This stone, like this land, is steady beneath our touch, waiting to grow." The youngest blinked awake, eyes shining with shadows and dreams. A faint smile curved fragile lips. Somewhere, deep within, a seed of understanding germinated. Life was more than survival. It was care, it was patience, it was love given freely, over and over. From their place by the thinning fire, the eldest softly began to hum the tune of the hopeful song once sung at dusk. The others stirred, sleepy voices blending into the night's delicate rhythm. The melody floated upward, curling into the cool air, weaving an invisible thread between hearts and stars. Outside the circle, the sapling stood sentinel, its leaves whispering secrets the dark could not quite swallow. The garden bed, freshly tilled, settled into quiet rest. The earth cradled seeds beneath unseen soil, patiently gathering strength for sun and rain. Noah's thoughts drifted to what dawn might bring. The first light would spill across the land, gentle and sure. They would rise again to water and tend, to teach and learn. Small hands would grow nimble, voices would tell new stories, carrying forward the old in gleaming new forms. He saw where the stream curved like a silver ribbon, carrying with it the memory of places left behind. It sang softly, steady and true, an ancient hymn of life continuing in endless flow. The fish, reeds, and shy deer would greet them anew, as companions, not strangers. Outside their shelter, the night air held an almost sacred quiet, as if the world itself sighed, a breath released after the great flood. The trees stood tall, branches cradling twinkling life. The animals' gentle rhythms echoed the family's own, a shared pulse beneath Earth's vast calm. Noah reached for his wife's hand in the enveloping dark. Her touch was familiar, warm, unchanging amidst change. Together they held the unspoken promise to protect and nurture, to honor nature's fragile grace with each choice made and step taken. The fire's glow was faint now, yet within its scarce warmth lingered the ember of enduring spirit. It needed only gentle breath to kindle anew tomorrow, just as their courage would rise again each morning, steady and sure. The youngest child, wrapped in wool and quiet wonder, finally slipped into peaceful sleep. The smooth stone still clutched like a talisman. Dreams would carry hope through shadows, like stars steering ships beneath the vast unknown. The family's breathing deepened, bodies sinking into soft earth and close kinship. Above, the night sky held its vast watch, unhurried and infinite. A soft wind whispered promises of growth, kindness, and gentle beginnings. Noah closed his eyes, heart filled with a calm that had been hard won. They had weathered tempest and turmoil. Now came the tender work, the patient unfolding of life's fragile threads into a new tapestry bound by neither flood nor fear. As the horizon hinted at faint light, the world held its breath, poised on the cusp of dawn. The ark, steady and proud, rested firmly, silent testimony to endurance and grace. Life was waking again, slow and certain. Noah's last thought before sleep wrapped around him like a balm. Here, on this sacred ground, the story would continue, not in grand gestures, but in quiet moments of care and love. The wind sighed, carrying the promise of a peaceful tomorrow, and the stars, steady and bright, listened in eternal patience.